one of the concerns is, as we go through the whole issue of debt, we do have a debt cap legislated in law. So where do we stand with this bill? Where do we stand with the debt cap at the for 17-18?
It would be $4.1 billion. We would be,
So as in 17-18, we're still 4.1 over the debt cap. What about out years? Are we seeing that declining? Are we seeing it stay the same?
actually, in 2019, it will drop down to 2.2 billion, and then 2020, it will be 865 million, and then 2021, 443 million, and in 2022, it would start back up to 1,200 million.
So is that, when it starts back up, is that because we're giving more capacity on the debt? Or is our expectation we're going to be borrowing more and continue to increase in the future? Or is it...
I think the revenues are getting stronger, and I think we'll be finding out that a lot of the monies, what we did before, are now coming off.
Thank you. One of the things I know over the last couple budget cycles, the governor's been proposing to increase the debt reduction reserve fund. Right now, there's 500 million authorization. He's been trying to up that to $1 billion, but the vote before us today keeps it at 500. It doesn't accept the governor's request to put it up to $1 billion. Could you tell me what the rationale is, kind of keeping this appropriation at the 500 million instead of going to $1 billion to give more capacity for that?
That we've dropped it to 500, but we've not at the dry appropriation, and we haven't transferred anything.
So is there any cash in that 500 million that there is?
No.
Okay. The governor, so there is no cash here. The governor had a proposal, I think, to move, if we have some cash at the end of the year, to move some money into there so that going forward, I think he said if 50% of what's left over, he'd like to move into that. In both the Assembly and Senate One House resolutions, that's rejected. Can you update us at all on the status of that? Has it been rejected, or is that still under consideration as we're going forward?
It's still under negotiations, and it's Article 7 negotiations, so...
So we may see it,
yes,
or not see it, depending on the negotiations coming up. Thank you. I know that today we're just authorizing payment, not other debt or additional debt, but I know we may see that in some of the coming bills. With the Fed just recently having increased the interest rates a bit, and with the expectation we're going to be some more of those this year and in the future, do we have, or have there been discussions about that impact and the concern that future debt we take on may be at a higher rate with a greater impact to the taxpayers?
We have set it up in such a way that it will we're watching that, and you'll see it'll be able to jump up so we won't get caught. Because I asked the same question, because the things are beginning to go up now.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Farrell. On the bill.
On the bill, sir.
This bill is, as we've talked about, the first in the series of budget bills to get this process going, that hopefully we will see many more in the coming days here. But today, we're talking about paying the debt or the debt payments on the debt that we've already incurred for this state, not that we are going to be taking on more by our action today. What we will be looking at in those bills coming up before us in future days is the consideration whether or not to incur a greater amount of debt for the state. It's my intention today to vote in favor of this bill. It is also my concern, though, that we look at those future bills that we might consider and be cautious about incurring greater amounts of debt for this state, that we will probably be looking at higher rates that would put a greater burden on our taxpayers. Certainly, the more we can reduce that debt, we can control that debt, it allows the dollars and the resources of this state to be used for the programs that are needed, that today we may think if we borrow for them, we can have them today, but if we don't perhaps borrow as much, we have greater dollars to fund with the resources coming in right then to pay for the programs that are needed and the services. So again, Mr. Speaker, I'll be voting in favor of this bill today, and look forward to the future pieces of legislation to complete this budget process in the coming days. Thank you.